Mariners win 6-4. They improve to 71 and 70 on the season, and they split the 4-game series against the Oakland A's. Go over the scoring plays. First inning, Big Dumper clobbers a home run to score Victor Robles to make it 2-0. And then in the third inning, Julio Rodriguez clobbers a home run 3-0 in the middle of the third. A's do get one in the third on a Seth Brown sac fly with the bases loaded, 3-1 at the end of three. Mariners get their own sac fly with a Big Dumper sac fly to score Victor Robles in the top of the fifth. And Brent Rooker, who had another monster game, homers to left center, 4-2 at the end of five. Mariners get 2 runs, insurance that they ended up needing to make it 6-2. Luke Raley homers to score Julio Rodriguez. And then in the bottom of the ninth, Brent Rooker homers to center off of Andres Munoz, 6-4. Mariners win. The negative, I mean, there's a couple, I guess, but the ultimate negative is a split just wasn't good enough. Going 3-4 to start this road trip is disaster's too strong a word, but from where they were, it basically is. Just imagine, play the what if game. Say you win one of those other 2 games against the A's, and one of those 2 losses against the Angels turns into a win. You're talking about 5-2, and you're talking about feeling a lot better. Not perfect, not even close to perfect. Still a long shot. But the odds are so much better. So much better. I've got a dog scratching at me, and I want to find out why. I have no idea. No idea why she was scratching at me. But yeah, what if you win? You needed a 5-2 start to this road trip. You went 3-4. As fun as these games were, and we'll talk about the fun. Man, what a blown opportunity. What a waste. Say it a lot. Also, Andres Munoz didn't look great. He gets a couple of strikeouts, but command was pretty bad. Some of that, I think, had to do with how much time he missed, first appearance in a bit, but need him to be much better down the stretch. Brent Rooker's awesome, though. Just a really good hitter. Really, really, really good hitter that I would love the Mariners to procure his services someday, maybe as soon as next year. Now we get into the positives, and we start with the ultimate positive being Simply Seattle offering 15% for anyone who uses code MOLLYWOP15 at checkout. MOLLYWHOP15. Go there, find all the great stuff for the Mariners, of course, but the Supersonics, the Seahawks, the Kraken, the Storm, the Sounders, all your favorite local teams, Huskies, Cougars, you can find it all at simplyseattle.com. Enter that code, automatically takes 15% off. Link in the description for both, but it's MOLLYWHOP15 at checkout. Super appreciative to everyone who uses that code and shops at simplyseattle.com. So Brian Wu wasn't great, and he hasn't looked great in his last 2 outings, but I was actually impressed with how he battled today. Wiggled out of some jams. He gave up a lot of hard contact. He did as well in that last start, and unfortunately, Dan Wilson left him in too long and played with fire. I thought it was a nice job by Wilson not to play with that fire today. I thought it was absolutely the right decision to pull him after 5 today. Now, it's made a little easier because he was already at 88 pitches, and they're really not going to have this guy work 100 pitches very often, if at all. So I think that made that decision pretty easy. But credit where credit's due. It was the absolute right decision to pull him, and all things considered, with how much hard contact and how much of the plate he was catching at times, it was the right decision to pull Wu. And, he gives up the 2 runs, but there were a couple of jams he got out of with some nice sweepers. Secondary stuff has just been so much better. The overall Brian Wu experience when he's been on the mound has absolutely been a positive one. Nice job by Troy Taylor. Nice job, of course, by Colin Snyder. Issues a walk, but works around it. Nice bounce back from Austin Voth. Munoz struggled, but the bridge to Munoz did a very nice job. And, thankfully, they're able to get some runs again. 22 runs over the last 2 games. And sure, 16 of them were yesterday. But when the Mariners score 6, you're going to feel pretty darn good. Loved seeing Victor Robles in the leadoff spot. Of course, it had to do with the fact that JP Crawford didn't play today. He's just awesome. How how can you say anything negative about Victor Robles? What a signing. Like one of Jerry DiPoto's best transactions. And maybe a little bit of it is by accident because I don't think the Mariners were bringing in Victor Robles thinking, yeah, we're going to develop him into maybe our best player. That's a little hyperbole, but not far. He's certainly been one of their most consistent. That dude's hitting 288, 359, 414 now. And you got him for basically free. And you signed him to an incredibly team-friendly extension. I hope Victor Robles is able to get a real nice extension the next time through. Because he's going to be underpaid, I think. Julio just clobbered that homer. It was so great to see him take advantage of a mistake and pull the ball. He was clearly looking for that pitch. It was a horrible pitch from Joey Estes, and he just slaughtered the thing. Has to do that more in 2025. Has to do it more. Big dumper, 29 homers now, 87 RBI. RBI is more a product of the fact that he's gotten most of the middle of the order chances this year, but he's such a good player. I'd love to see the average in OBP a little higher. In fact, I'd like to see the OBP a lot higher than 301. But what he gives you defensively and that power and how good he's been in some massive moments. He's a building block for sure. He is a building block for sure. So Luke Raley, I think, is just going to be one of these guys. When he's hot, and when he's not, he's not. But right now, he is hot. And that homer ended up being huge because the 2-run homer that Munoz gives up ends up meaning very little because of that homer Raley hits. It was a 6-2 game. Luke Raley, I mean, he's slugging 451 now. He's been one of their best sources of pop. A lot of doubles, hit 2 more today. Not a lot, but 15. Wish he could hit left-handed pitching. But he's a nice option as a right-handed bat. And, I don't think he's looked great defensively at first base. I wouldn't completely hate it if the Mariners decided to make him their starter at first base against righties and platoon right-handed guy against lefties. Maybe a Justin Turner type, if Justin Turner's interested in that role. Justin Turner hasn't been great with the Mariners, but I think we've seen enough overall. This is a guy with a 345 on base percentage that, yeah. And remember, so much of Justin Turner's bad numbers are based on just the worst May you could possibly have. And again, I'm not saying Justin Turner's been great for the Mariners. I'm just saying that might make sense. That might make sense. As nice as this is, it does make me a little frustrated that they couldn't have done better on this road trip. And I know this is the positive section, but man, oh man, if you had just played adequately before then, you take away that stupid 4-game losing streak, all of them by 1 run, several of them off walk-off hits. Dang it. So we look at the standings now. Well, we look at the standings in just 1 sec. So the Astros got swept. Thank you, Ty France. If you're going to hit, might as well do it against the Astros and help the Mariners, right? That was helpful. Helpful enough? Probably not. Still 4.5 games to go. 4.5 games back with 21 games left to play. So if the Astros go 500, right? If they go 500, they're going to go 86 and 76. The Mariners have 71 wins, which means they would need to win 15 out of 21 games left. If the Astros play 500 baseball, they'll have to be better than that if Astros are better than that. Is it possible? Yeah, technically, sure. It's very unlikely. It's very unlikely. And you look at the wild card. Now, the one nice thing here is the Mariners are now the fourth place team. The bad thing here is it's still 5 games back. You play no games against Kansas City. You play no games against Minnesota. And both of those teams have the tiebreakers. So you need one of those two teams to just collapse. Not completely ruling it out. And you also have to play better than Detroit. And you have to play better than Boston. And you have to play better in Tampa Bay, who are all right there with you. It's not impossible. It's just very unlikely. And it's okay to be frustrated that if they played even somewhat competent baseball, they're in great shape. They didn't. This has been a bad road trip. But you got 3 games coming up against the Cardinals, who are a decent little team. They're not great, but they're not bad. They're not the White Sox. Very few are. White Sox have won 2 straight, by the way. Good for them. But it's a winnable series. And then you have that massive homestand. I mean, you have the margin of error is beyond thin. It's Laura Flynn Boyle. There's an old reference for you. Hope she's well. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. My Hawaii enthusiasts, we have a live chat coming up at 6 o'clock tonight. This video should be posting right around 5 o'clock tonight. So you got an hour. You got an hour to get ready. And I'd really appreciate you hitting join if you haven't. It's $4.99 a month, and it helps me a lot. Good win. But what if?